Can you guys guess what I'm doing today? Welcome back to the Continental, guys. Sorry I'm not in my usual uniform. Didn't want to get all dirty and sprayed up for today's video. Leave a like if you guys have been Halo 2 on Legendary. If not, then leave a comment and explain why you haven't. No, I'm just kidding. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be spraying my rifle. If you guys remember from a video before, this rifle is completely all black. I love the look of the rifle, but I want to change it up, make it match my environment a lot more. So that's what we're going to be doing today. I'm just going to give a general idea of how to spray your rifle. I brought some different colors. I brought some different tapes. I'm just going to be generally going over how you're supposed to do it. There might be a few different methods, so make sure just, do some research before you guys put paint on your rifle. But that's a great thing about paint. It's not like a Cerakote where, it's permanent. You can constantly be changing it up or try again if you mess up, things like that. So what we're going to start with is the taping up. I have almost entirely ran out of my masking tape from how much I've done this. So please excuse my ghetto-ness if I have to resort to using a different kind of paint. You know what, before I do that, let me just explain what you want to tape off. So real quick, things that you're gonna want to tape off are, you want to tape off your muzzle brake or flash hider, whatever muzzle device you guys have on. You don't have to tape off the whole thing. It's just so paint doesn't get in there and mess with the barrel. It's more of a personal preference, but I like to tape off my trigger. I don't have to wait for the paint to wear away for a trigger to be back to normal. It gets sticky and gunky. I'd rather just not deal with that. So I tape off my trigger. Of course, I like to paint my rifles with a mag inserted, because if not, otherwise then you can get paint inside the inside of the receiver and your internals, and you don't want to do that. And lastly, probably one of the most important things you want to tape off are your optics. So you want to cover the front, the back, if you have a LVPO or a scope, you want to maybe cover up the switches so you can actually see what you're affecting. And then after that, the only thing you're going to want to do is just personal preferences. Before you start, of course you want to tape up before you start, but you also want to take off any attachments that you don't want to paint. For example, that could be your sling. I'm going to leave mine on, but you guys can take yours off, like rail covers, grips. If you don't want to paint that, make sure to take them off. I do want to paint it, so I'm going to leave it on, but make sure your rifle's bare bones. One more thing you wouldn't want to tape off, at least for me, it's personal preference, but I like to tape off my my flashlight switches, or take them off if you're using a pressure switch. Just for the same reason as a trigger, I don't want it to get sticky and all gunky and messed up like that. So that's one more thing. Outside of that, I'm just going to try to apply even levels of paint all across the rifle, and then later we'll get into patterns and all of that. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, guys, so now that we're back, I taped up all the things I wanted to tape up on my rifle. So I taped up my trigger, my optics. It doesn't have to be so clean cut. I don't personally care to make it super fancy. It is going to be spray paint. It's going to get battle worn after a few weeks or a few months of wear. Just want to show you the things that I pinned or taped up. So of course my optic, front and back, the gears and switches, my trigger, the squishy part of my flashlight, where the button is, taped off the muzzle device. You can spray your buffer tube, although I have mine closed at the moment. That's just the way I'm going to spray it. Of course, mag inserted, and after that, you know what, let's get started. So we'll go ahead and start with the few test sprays, make sure everything working fine, and now we'll start spraying, guys. I forgot to tape up the back of the optic. Okay guys, now that we've given the rifle some time to dry, we're going to flip it over to the other side and do that side. Wow. Let's get started. Okay guys, that seems to be about it. I don't want to overdo it, so now we're going to give it some time to dry. and then we'll come back. So, you want to paint your rifle. I'm just kidding. All right, guys, so given the other side a chance to dry, so now I'm going to go ahead and add a pattern. And so I decided to use this mesh that I found from the gardening section at a Walmart. So do with that information as you will. I have never tried it before. I'm going to go ahead and see if it works. If it doesn't, oh well, I'll just fix it later. So we'll go ahead and start spraying. So what I'm going to try to do is, typically within nature, things grow up. So I'm going to try to keep the lines not like horizontal, but more like diagonal to like match like kind of the natural growth and subconscious look of nature, I guess. I don't want to overdo it, but I don't want the color to be so light and tan. So I'm just gonna mess around. If I f it up, I f it up. I really want to keep going, but I think I might be overdoing it. So I'm going to go ahead and take a break there. It's important to just, stop, evaluate, and see what you're doing. So as of right now, I like the way it's going. I'm going to go ahead and give it a second to dry, and then I'm going to kind of decide what other color to add onto it. I think I'm going to add like a slight black, and then just to give it like a darker color. Or maybe I'll give like a slight green tint. All right, we'll be back in a little bit. Okay, guys, we're back here with hopefully the last coat. I'm going to give it a touch of green. I do feel like the rifle is a little too light in color. See if I can equal out or even out the colors a little bit more so it's not too dark, not too light. So I'm going to add a little bit of green, and hopefully it doesn't look too bad. So let's go ahead and try. All right, well, seems like I'm all done for now. I'm gonna go ahead and give the rifle a second to sit, and then we'll go ahead and check what it looks like after. All right, guys, we're back here with my rifle after like a day or two of letting it dry. It's probably important to give it a proper amount of time to dry. So this is a finished job. Overall, I think I like it a lot. It definitely seems very effective. Okay, so I went ahead and moved the rifle a little bit further away from the camera without me next to it. It's underneath this bush, and as you can see, it's already a lot more hidden and camouflaged as compared to either a black rifle or even up close. This is about, I don't know, 10-15 feet. If you can imagine at further distances, like 50, 100, 200 yards, it's almost impossible to see this outside of like scope glint or red dot glint. So very effective. Pause. Okay, so back here with the rifle, just wanted to go over my final thoughts. I believe earlier in the video I forgot to tape up my butt pad, but I want to just mention it now. Anything that's rubberized, you do want to cover it. It's gonna get gross, it's gonna get gunky. You don't want that happening. As far as personal preference, I did spray paint my grip, and that's fine, although your hands are going to be covered in like paint for like a week or two as like the paint kind of like wears off to the point where it's not like constantly staining your hands. That's just like a consequence of painting your rifle that you can't really get around. Outside of that, I'm very happy with it. It's very camouflaged, and just an idea for you guys to paint your rifles. it really does make a difference. We don't got that much of a budget, but you can also compare painted rifles to black rifles under night vision, and you can see like just right off the bat that a black rifle will stand out a lot. So I mean, maybe during the day, if you're like hiding behind coverage, I mean, you can get away with running a black rifle, but at night, somebody's using nods or NVGs against you, you are going to stand out. Ultimately, just get creative and do your research, guys. And like a lot of other YouTubers say, go do some training. If you guys have all the gear, it doesn't do you any good if you don't train. So we'll follow in their good footsteps, and I'll say go do some training. Go hit the range, go do a hike, do some weight, and do some exercise. It's good for your soul, it's good for your heart. All right, that's been the Continental. Hope you guys liked the video. If you have any questions, just put it in the comments. And if you guys want to see any other videos, see any of other video ideas, just let me know. You guys have a good night. Peace.